Savasana, which is just corpse pose, just laying flat, relaxing. Set your intentions for today's practice. Focus on what you want to bring into your life and what you are needing to let go of. You want to allow that change to occur and shift. We're going to remain in Savasana while setting our intentions. Inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Deep breaths. Continue to remain in Savasana, just allowing all of your stress, all of your worries to just wash away, all of your concerns from the day, from the week, from the year. Just let it go and focus on the here and now. Focus on your breath. While continuing to remain in corpse pose, we're going to turn our head and our neck slowly to the right, looking over the right shoulder. Deep breath, and then rotate the head and neck back to neutral. And then rotating your head and neck to look over your left shoulder. And after a deep breath, then back to neutral. Now we're going to stretch out long, reaching your hands up over your head, pointing your toes, just stretch like a kitty cat. Then we're going to hug the right knee for several breaths. You have the opportunity here to engage your foot, flexing your heel, rotating your ankle, pointing your toes. Continue hugging that knee in really tight. Paying close attention to your micro movements and the compression in your right hip socket. Now you're going to reach for your canvas strap and get that to go across the ball of your right foot. Then straighten out your leg. Pulling that leg just a little closer to your chest. Hold it there. Then we're going to bring that right leg out to the right side with the strap or without if you like. We're going to hold this half straddle for several breaths. It's a big stretch. breathe into it. Relax into it. Then set your strap aside, lowering your right leg back down onto the mat. Switching your legs, hug your left knee. Again, there's the opportunity here to engage the foot and the ankle, flexing and pointing and rotating your foot. Hugging that left knee in tightly. Again, paying attention to the micro movements and focusing on that compression in your left hip socket. Then again, find your canvas strap and place it across the ball of the left foot this time. Stretching that leg, straightening the knee, and holding it there. You can actually bend the knee slightly if you wish, or keep it straightened, or a little bit of both. Pull that leg just a little bit closer to your chest. Then you're going to swing that left leg out to the left side for the half straddle. Again, you can have your foot still in the strap, or you can lose the strap if you wish. Hold that there for several breaths. Then set your strap aside, lowering your left leg back down to the mat. Both legs are straight, stretching out long, arms overhead again. Then hug both of your knees tightly. Continue holding on to your right knee while lowering the left leg back down to the mat. Hugging that right knee and then placing it onto the left side of your body for the supine twist. Arms are in a T, keeping your drishti out over your right fingertips. Stay in supine twist. You have an option here to use your left hand to apply a light pressure to your right knee at any point if you wish. Just really enjoy this nice, relaxing supine twist. Breathing into that. Slowly turn your head and your neck to be looking out over the left shoulder, the opposite direction. Hold that there for 2 full breaths. Then slowly turn the head and neck back to be looking out over your right fingertips again. And then back to neutral. Lower that right leg back down to the floor, hugging in both of your knees together, stretching your head and neck towards your kneecaps, rocking and rolling. Then you're going to lower your right leg to the floor while continuing to hug that left knee. hugging that knee tightly. Then bring the left knee across your body to place it on the floor on the right side of yourself for the supine twist. You can use a prop here like a bolster or a pillow or a block if you wish. Your arms are in a T again, keeping your gaze out over your left fingertips. And again, you have that option to use your right hand to apply a light pressure to the left knee at any point. Just relax into this lovely supine twist. Really enjoy the moment. You can slowly turn your head and your neck to be looking out over your right shoulder. Hold your glance, your gaze. Hold the position for a couple of breaths. And then slowly rotate your head and neck back to be looking over your left fingertips. And then back to neutral. Lower your left leg down to the floor, coming out of the twist. Stretching your long arms overhead. Again, stretch those arms out long. Then hug both of your knees again, stretching your neck. Here you have an opportunity to rotate both of your ankles, either in unison or opposite one another, engaging those feet, flexing the heels, pointing the toes. And now we're going to get into reclined butterfly. You might want a bolster or a prop under your knees, blocks under your thighs. Arms are down by both sides, palms facing towards the ceiling. Just surrender to your practice. Slowly, you're going to glide your arms on the floor out wide to the sides, and then arching them overhead in the half moon to steeple grip. We're going to hold this stretch. Keeping your hands in steeple grip overhead. And then letting go of that, you can glide your arms back down to your sides like butterfly wings. Hands or palms are still facing up. Again, slowly, you're going to stretch your arms out wide, again, bringing them back up overhead, touching the fingertips to each other in prayer hands. With your arms outstretched overhead, fingers and thumbs touching lightly, continue to remain in butterfly pose. If you have any props, you can remove them at this point. We're going to do reclined tree pose on each side. First, straighten out your left leg, placing the sole of your right foot high against the inseam of your left thigh. Prayer hands are overhead. Feel free to put your arms and your hands in any position that is comfortable for you. can branch your arms and hands out. Keep them in prayer hands, steeple grip, goalposts, whatever your comfort level is and yogi's choice. Then we're going to simply switch sides, straightening out your right leg, placing the sole of your left foot high on the inseam of your right thigh. Arms are still overhead, steeple grip, prayer hands, cactus arms, branching your arms out, whatever you choose. Then reach for your strap and get it across the balls of both feet for legs up the wall. Knees can be straight or bent slightly. Feel free to pedal your knees. You can rock, you can wiggle, anything you wish. And continue to keep your left foot in the strap, keeping the canvas on the ball of your foot, and take your right foot out and place it across your left thigh for reclined pigeon. Again, bending that knee slightly is an option, or you can keep it straight, or some of each, straightening and bending. It's a really good stretch in the thigh, the outer thigh and the hip. And then we're going to switch out the feet. Get your right foot back into the strap, removing your left foot and placing the left foot across your right thigh for the reclining pigeon on the other side. Again, you have the option here to bend your knee slightly, keep it straightened, or a little bit of both. Then we're going to set the strap aside, lay flat. We're going to do 3 honey bumblebee breaths with your 3 fingers over your closed eyes. Thumbs are on your ear cartilage, pressing your thumbs down on that tragus, closing off the airway into your ears, breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. We're going to hum low pitch 3 times. And after that, we're going to prepare to turn over. You can slowly turn to the left or to your right, flipping yourself over to lay prone onto your front side. You can rest your forehead on your hands, stacked lightly on top of one another for several breaths. Then we're going to come up onto the elbows and forearms into Sphinx. hiking up your right knee out to the right side with your right arm out in front of you. With your left arm, you can thread the needle, making any adjustments for this pose that you need to as you get into the supine twist once again. You can try to lay both of your shoulder blades and arms flat on the ground. At any point, you can use your left hand to apply that light pressure to your right knee, keeping your gaze out over your right fingertips. Arms are in a T. And notice the difference from the last supine twist you were in, having gotten into this pose from an entirely different series of prompts and directives. Also pay attention to any similarities. When you're ready to come out of this twist, you can rest your head on your hands again, laying them on top of one another. And then bend both of your knees, bringing your feet up towards your booty, and you can windshield wiper those feet and calves side to side. And then slow that down, lower your feet back down to the mat, and come back up onto your forearms and elbows and hands into the Sphinx pose once again, this time hiking your left knee up to the left side, putting your left hand out in front of you, and then with your right arm you can thread the needle under your left armpit. As you're shifting into the supine twist once again, you can adjust yourself so that both shoulders and arms are flat on the ground, arms in a T, looking out over your left fingertips. Again, you can apply that light pressure onto your knee with your opposite hand if you wish, keeping your drishti over your left shoulder. While relaxing into your supine twist, enjoy the stretch. Again, noting similarities and any differences from the last supine twist, and even from the other side. And as you come out of this twist, again, you can rest your forehead on your hands, stacked lightly on top of each other. And again, we're going to windshield wiper the feet and knees, this time in a very exaggerated motion, really loosening your hips out. And then slow that down, lower your feet back down to the ground, and then we're going to send the hips back towards the feet into a wide knee child pose. You can use a block or a bolster or a pillow to rest your forehead on if you wish. We're going to just relax into this wide child pose, really relaxing and ragdolling your torso, leaning into it. Allow gravity to do the work for you. Feel that release in the small of your back. Then remove the prop if you have one. Coming into a tabletop movement, we're then going to move back into Sphinx on your elbows and forearms once again. This time spreading your hands and your fingers out as wide as you can, holding that Sphinx pose tall. And then turn your right forearm to be parallel with the top of your mat. Reach back with your left hand for your left foot, and we're going to hold this half bow for several breaths. And here's an opportunity for a very challenging attempt at the full bow if you wish. What I like to do is let go of my left foot and then reach my right hand back for my right foot. You can use a strap here. You can have somebody spot you if you have someone nearby. And then getting the left foot back into the left hand if possible. If it's not possible, just do what is comfortable for your body and your level of flexibility today. Do not stress about getting into the full bow or not getting into the full bow. I know I can get into that shape on most days, but for some reason, not every day. So just use your breath to relax into this. If you are able to be in this full bow, you can use your breath and your diaphragm to rock, or you can remain still, or some of each. And then when letting go of your feet, again, rest your head on your hands with your hands on top of one another, and windshield wiper your feet again, really loosening the hips and slowing it down. Lower your feet back down to the floor. And the same thing on the other side. We're going to come back into Sphinx. Stretch the hands and fingers out as wide as possible. Sitting tall before then turning the left forearm to be parallel with the top of the mat. Reaching back with your right hand to hold your right foot. Engaging in this half bow for several breaths. Then, just like on the other side, you can attempt the full bow if it's in your practice. With your strap, with someone spotting you, or whatever it is that you need to do to support yourself in this challenge of full bow. Again, I like to let go of the foot that I'm holding to get the other foot into the opposite hand and then get that right foot back into the right hand. And then sometimes I will try to make a circle. Sometimes I will just relax into gravity and keep my knees as close together as I can. Try to get my feet towards my bottom. Just getting into that stretch and that position. And then again, when letting go, lowering both feet back down to the mat. And once again, sending the hips back to sit on your feet, this time in a regular child's pose with your knees close together. And while sitting on your feet, you can rest your head on a block. We're going to be here for a minute, so make sure that you're comfortable, just relaxing into it. Again, allowing gravity to do the work for you and really ragdolling your torso and your upper body. Enjoying that stretch on your low back, your sacrum. And then we're going to either use our fingertips to walk our hands or just slide slightly to the right, towards the right edge of the mat, reaching for the upper right corner of our mat, feeling the stretch across your lower left ribs. And then walking or sliding your hands back to neutral. And then again, sliding or walking hands and fingers towards the left edge of the mat, reaching for that upper left corner and focusing the extension in the lower right ribs, holding that for several breaths. Before then gliding or walking hands and fingers back to neutral. And then use your hands to push yourself up into a lightning bolt pose, just sitting on your feet. This seems like a very simple and easy pose, but it can be very challenging. It's a great pose to just rest in for a moment. Maybe prayer hands over heart or hands on your thighs. Just breathing into it. Notice the challenge of this seemingly simple pose. You can reach for a couple of blocks and then coming up onto your knees, widening out the stance. You can reach back towards your feet with a block in each hand. Again, this is a seemingly simple pose that can be very challenging. Camel pose is an awesome chest opener. You can lean back, arching your torso. Maybe you have a block in each hand and maybe you're touching them to the floor one at a time or both simultaneously. If you're very advanced in your flexibility in this practice, you might be able to reach both of your ankles. Just enjoy this chest opening stretch, looking towards the ceiling. And then as you're coming out of this shape, you can sit your bottom back down on your feet. And then sitting on the floor as you swing your legs around in front of you for staff pose. You can stack some pillows and props on top of your legs to ragdoll your torso over, or you can just use the canvas strap on the balls of your feet for the same type of effect. Again, allow the gravity to do the work for you. Really leaning into this. We're going to hold this for an extended period. This is another seemingly simple stretch that can be very challenging. Envision tilting your hips slightly towards your feet, towards your toes. Focus on easing your weight forward, trusting the gravitational pull to completely support you and take care of you and give you what you need. As you're breathing into this stretch and reaching new thresholds, the deep breathing is really oxygenating your blood and cleansing out your muscles of any lactic acid, any toxins. Really relax into it. And then slowly, as you're coming out of this pose, you can remove the props. Keep your left leg stretched out long and bring the right foot up high to the inseam of your left thigh. Reaching for your left toes in a side bend. You might have your left toes in your left hand with your right hand reaching over that foot. Feeling that stretch in your right rib cage. And then back to neutral. We're going to get the legs into a wide straddle stretch. Lean forward for a couple of deep breaths. And then we're going to switch it out to the other side, keeping your right leg stretched out long, placing your left foot to the inner right thigh, reaching for the right toes with your right hand in that side bend, reaching your left hand over that right foot. Then we're going to stretch both legs out wide again into that straddle. Leaning forward, reaching out in front of yourself. Rest your forehead on a couple of blocks stacked if you wish. As you come up, we're going to get into the seated butterfly, holding the soles of your feet together with both hands, allowing your knees to push towards the floor, bending your neck and your head towards your feet. And then slowly rising your head up to neutral. Twist your head and neck to the right, looking over your right shoulder. And then back to neutral. To the left, looking over your left shoulder. And back to neutral when you're done with that. Then we're going to lean the head and neck forward again, stretching the neck down, rolling it out in small movements to begin with. You might want to twist your head from side to side as if you're indicating a no. You might want to stretch your neck diagonally. Might want to nod your head up and down as if you're indicating a yes. If you're comfortable and it's in your practice, you can do a full circle rotation with your head and neck in one direction, and then a full rotation with the head and neck in the other direction. And then bring your head to neutral before shifting into easy pose. And then drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. You have an option here to use a light pressure with your right fingertips on the top of your head. And then if you want, you can move your head slightly back and forth to allow for a gentle massage of your neck muscles. And then head and neck back to neutral before dropping your left ear to your left shoulder. And again, you can use that slight pressure with your left fingertips if you wish on your skull. And again, you can move your head and neck slightly back and forth to massage out those muscles before then getting your head and neck back to neutral. Again, turning your head and neck to the right, looking over your right shoulder. And then neutral. And slowly to the left, looking over your left shoulder. And then back to neutral. Now we're going to bring ourselves into that wide straddle again, leaning forward. You might want to use the blocks again in front of you, stacked to rest your forehead on, as we're going to remain in this stretch for an extended period. Again, allowing gravity to do the work for you. And just really relaxing into it. Then you can pick up the blocks, one in each of your hands. Reaching over your left foot, you can place the blocks on either side of your foot to rest your hands on each of the blocks as you reach for your toes. You can hold your toes, you can rest your hands on the blocks. Just really lean into it. blocks and place them on either side of your right foot. Again, you can reach for your toes or you can rest your hands on each of the blocks. Breathe into it. And you can set the blocks aside, and our next pose is bending our right knee over our left leg, extended out straight, twisting to your right, gazing to the back of the room. Your right hand or fist is on the floor behind you, arm supporting the weight of your torso, using your left elbow to leverage on the right knee. Really feel the twist. And then slowly you're going to turn your gaze to be looking out towards the front of the room, over the opposite shoulder. And then slowly returning your gaze to be looking again over your right shoulder towards the back of the room, all while leveraging that left elbow on the right. And then when you're ready to come out of the twist, simply switch sides, bending the left knee over the right leg extended out straight, left hand or fist on the floor behind you, gazing over the left shoulder towards the back of the room, leveraging your right arm against the left knee. Really feel the power of this twist. Slowly, we're going to turn the head and neck to be gazing over the right shoulder towards the front of the room. Slowly and carefully rotating your head and neck to be looking out over that left shoulder once again towards the back of the room, continuing to leverage that right elbow on the left knee. And then back to neutral. Next, we're going to hold the soles of our feet together, getting into that butterfly, pressing the knees towards the floor, bending the head and neck forward towards the feet. And then keeping your posture as if a string were being pulled from above, from the top of your head, coming up to a high posture. Gently turn your head to the right, stretching the neck, and then back to neutral. And then turning your head to the left, and then back to neutral. And now we're going to get into cow face and then Lord of the Fish. First, bending the right knee over the left knee that's also bent, stacking them on top of one another. Holding each of your feet in each of your hands. You can take this opportunity to give yourself a nice foot massage. I like to press my thumbs into the arches of my feet. Sitting up tall. Before then, twisting to the right, reaching the right arm in back of you, keeping your fist or your hand flat on the floor. Your left elbow is leveraging against that right knee, looking to the back of the room. Really feel that stretch. And then slowly turn the head and neck to be looking over the opposite or left shoulder. Slowly returning that head and neck to be looking out over the right shoulder once again. And then back to neutral. Now we're going to straighten both legs out straight for a staff pose, reaching your arms out wide to the sides into the half moon, and then arching them overhead, reaching up to the sky, interlacing your fingers, and turning your hands outward towards the ceiling and reaching up as tall as you can for 2 full breaths. And then bend forward, reaching for your toes. Take a deep breath here. Before then coming up and preparing to switch your legs for cow face on the other side. This time your left knee will go over your right bent knee, holding both of your feet in each of your hands. Again, you can massage those thumbs into the arches of each foot if you like. Sitting up tall, and then twisting to the left, leveraging your right arm against the left knee, looking out over your left shoulder to the back of the room. Enjoy the power of this stretch. And then we're going to slowly turn the gaze to be looking over the right shoulder. And then slowly rotating your head and neck to be gazing out over your left shoulder again. And then back to neutral. Coming out of the twist, we'll return to staff pose. Reaching both arms out wide to the sides. Your legs are out in front of you. Make a half moon arch, touching your hands lightly overhead. Sitting tall before then reaching for your toes. And as you come up to neutral, transition your legs into easy pose. Reaching your arms out to your sides and then up overhead for the half moon arch. Touching your hands together for prayer hands before then getting into cactus arms, preparing for eagle arms. We're going to first do the right elbow over the left elbow, hands together. Feel that stretch across your shoulder blade. You can push your elbows slightly up, bending your head and neck slightly down. If you'd like to, you have an option to move your head and your neck to be looking up high. You can move your arms up with your head and your neck. You can do different things with this posture. Sometimes I like to lean my head slightly back while pushing the eagle arms up towards the sky until they unpretzel themselves, and then reach my arms back out wide, arching them up into another half moon, touching hands together overhead, briefly in prayer hands, and then back to cactus. And eagle arms, this time with the left elbow over the right elbow, pushing those elbows up slightly and bending the head and the neck down. Enjoying that stretch across the upper back. You are free to remain in this pose, or again, you can take an opportunity to slowly look up as high as possible. Lean your head slightly back while pushing elbows and arms up towards the ceiling until they unpretzel. And again, stretching arms out wide to the side, reaching out and up, bringing them overhead into another half moon arch to steeple grip, sitting tall. And then we're going to do a simple twist to each side. First, as you lower your arms down, twist to your right, getting your left hand on your right knee and your right hand behind you. And you can cross your right arm over the left and then reach for that left knee with your right hand, and your left hand can reach for the floor behind you. Before then reaching your left hand over your right arm, crossing your arms again, and hugging yourself into a basket shape. And you have an opportunity here to do a boat pose, to do a simple abdominal strengthening exercise in that boat pose, with or without a strap. You might even want to scissor your legs for a little bit more abdominal work. Before then, just laying down flat on your back, stretching out long. Before then, planting both of your feet on the floor with your knees bent. Arms are in a T. You might want to hold a block or a pillow between each of your knees, possibly another on each side of you, to allow your knees to just fall to the right, and enjoy this stretch, focusing your gaze out over your left fingertips. Lovely, simple stretch. And you can slowly rotate your head and neck to look out over your right shoulder. Slowly rotate your head and neck to be looking back out over your left shoulder. And then back to neutral, bringing your knees up to neutral, then allowing those knees to fall to the left. Arms are still in a T, and now gazing out over your right fingertips. Enjoy this simple twist. And now, slowly, carefully, we're going to turn the head and the neck to be looking over the left shoulder. And then carefully, slowly moving the head and neck together to be looking out over your right shoulder again. And then moving your head and neck back to neutral. Knees back up to neutral. Removing any props and hugging in both of your knees tightly. Bending your head and neck towards your knees. You have an opportunity here to engage your feet, flex your heels, point your toes, rotate your ankles in unison or opposite one another, or mixing it up with both. And then we're going to plant both feet firmly on the mat again. Put your right knee over your left knee. Allow your legs to fall to your right. Your arms are in a T, gazing out over your left fingertips. This is my absolute favorite of all of these twists, and I do love them all. Something about this one that just really does it for me. I think it's that stretch on the outer left hip. And you can undo your knees as you bring them up to neutral, hugging your knees into your chest again, rocking and rolling. And then firmly planting both feet back onto the mat. For the other side, you're going to place your left knee bent over the right knee and allow the legs to fall to the left with your arms in a T and your gaze out over your right fingertips. Enjoy this final stretch for several breaths. Then we're going to release the legs back up to neutral, hugging in both knees one more time, rocking and rolling if you would like to. And here you have an opportunity for the happy baby pose, grabbing your feet or your toes with your hands or your fingers. You can rock the baby can remain still in happy baby, or you can move around however you see fit, maybe alternating, straightening and slightly bending each knee one at a time. Move around in different shapes if you like. And then as you come out of that form, lay flat. And then reach for a block for supported bridge. We're going to plant both feet firmly on the mat, lifting up the hips, sliding the block under the small of your back on its lowest level. We're going to remain in this supported bridge for about a minute. Really relaxing your back and your hips. Then, while still on the block, we're going to get into legs up the wall. You can use your canvas strap if you like, or you can do this without the strap. I personally like to get that canvas strap across the balls of both of my feet. I find it much more relaxing to do this with the strap if I don't have an actual wall to do my legs up the wall. Then when you're done, you can set the strap aside, remove the block, and if it's in your practice, we have an opportunity here for a shoulder stand and for the plow. Take a minute or two to do each of these, or yogi's choice, any stretch you would like to do, or feel free to get into the savasana early and we'll meet you there. Should you be in a shoulder stand, you may want to point your toes, flex your heels, rotate your ankles. Again, you can do that in unison or opposite one another. You might want to keep your legs and knees straight and pointed. You might want to bend one knee at a time, stretching your legs long. Any movements that you're inclined to do, or remaining still in that shoulder stand. Before then transitioning into the plow. I like to lower my toes to the floor overhead while keeping my arms and hands on the floor on the other side of my torso. For then reaching my arms up to then hold my toes, maybe keeping my knees straight, maybe bending my knees, maybe a little bit of both. Feeling that stretch, that movement in the plow. before then coming out of the plow as slow and controlled as I can with one vertebrae at a time, rolling yourself down to the mat to relax into Savasana. As you relax into corpse pose, remember the intentions that you set for yourself at the beginning of this practice. And thank yourself for taking the time out of your day to focus on your wellness, to focus on you. Remember what it is you want to incorporate more of into your life and what it is that you would like to let go of in order to make room for that. Relaxing in Savasana can sometimes be the most challenging pose of our practice. To find that stillness, but you're free to wiggle and move in whatever way that feels most comfortable for you. As we bring our awareness back into our bodies and back into the room, you might want to wiggle your toes, your hands, your fingers, and slowly you can roll to one side or the other to just rest there on your side. Eventually you can push yourself up as you wish, or if it's comfortable for you, there's the option to slightly, with your chin tucked, just come up onto both elbows, slightly rocking yourself, straightening your arms out behind you, transitioning into easy pose. Or if you're coming up on your side, this would be the point where you transition into easy pose. Place your left hand onto your right knee with a light twist, your right hand behind you on the floor, and then crossing your right arm over your right hand onto your left knee, and then reaching your left hand behind you for another light twist, then crossing the left arm over the right arm, and then first lightly hugging yourself in this basket shape, and then hug your knees and legs in as tightly as you can, making yourself into a small seedling or a ball, a beetle, a turtle, hugging yourself in as small as you're able to make yourself, before then releasing and back into easy pose. Stretch your arms out wide to the sides into a star shape, and then placing each hand onto each of your knees, touching the pointer finger to the thumb of each hand, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. We're going to chant Om 3 times in a low pitch. And then stretching out your arms wide to the sides again and into the half moon arch. Bring the arms up overhead to prayer hands. And then to acknowledge your insight and wisdom, touch your thumbs or knuckles to your third eye as you slowly lower your prayer hands down to hands over heart. And then reaching those arms out wide one more time for one last half moon arch. Touching your hands lightly overhead into prayer hands, and then slowly lowering your prayer hands to hands over heart, before then bowing to close and seal this practice. And so it is. I thank you for practicing with me today. Be well, enjoy a blessed rest of your day, and be sure to drink your water.
Yes, be well, drink your agua.
Shopping for other people is tricky, but with the Google Holiday 100 gift guide, it is absolutely